In this video, I'm going to run through creating basically structured text. I'm going to continue on from the previous program that I put together, and the goal of this is to create some structured text if logic, and I'm going to use some basic kind of input-output Boolean, kind of variables to kind of move things ahead. So first off, I'm in the old program, so I'm going to create a new block, and here I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to call this guy SCL test, and he'll get created there. And basically then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another block as well. I'm just going to call him, it's going to be just a data block, and I'll just simply, just to break it up so it's easy, I'm going to call him SCL test DB. Okay, so I'll create him there, and inside here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Boolean variable called input bool1, and as you can guess it's going to be a bool. And then I'm going to create another one called output bool1 as well. He'll be a bool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call something input real1. As you can guess, he's going to be a real value, just like a decimal basically. And then we'll have output real2. Okay, so they exist there, and just yeah, they'll basically be able to go and do their thing. Okay, so just compile him. Now I'm going to go back into my SCL. So the first thing I'm going to do, if anyone hasn't seen it before, I'm just going to create a region. I'll just give him a name. We'll just call him SCL testing. And then what I'm going to do, right, is I'm going to break out the logic here. I'm going to do something very simple first of all. So I'm just simply going to say if, and the condition is going to be basically if the input bool1 is true, then something will happen, right? So I have I'll name the DB first, so SCL. He'll automatically come up, so it's this guy here, and then we go dot, and here we'll go input bool1, and if he has a value of true, then obviously what we're going to do is we're going to do something specific. So I'm just going to get rid of this guy right here. And what we're going to do, if that is true, I'll actually just break the then down. We are going to turn the SCL testdb dot output bool1. We're going to assign him a value. Oh, sorry, I'm doing that wrong there. You put a colon and then the equals, and we're going to assign him a value of true. Okay, so I'm going to end in the semicolon there. And in this, what we can do then is we can put in, we'll put in a kind of a longer if here, right? So what we'll do is we'll go down and we'll do the reverse. So I'm just going to take it, copy, and here we go. If he is false, there we go. Then the other one will be false. Okay, so we'll just compile that. There should be nothing stressful there. So just the if statement. If he's true, the output is true. If he's false, the output is false. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our IODB, and the IO, which is in the previous video, this is the basic logic here of if conditions as well, right? But we only have one condition here in this case, and we only have one action which occurs when that condition actually goes. I'm going to go into my main block here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove this guy here, so he's not going to be considered. And then I'm going to take the SCL block, I'm going to bring him over, and he is being considered now when the main program is running. Okay, so I'm just going to save that project there. I'm just going to do a compile. There's no issues on that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to download to the PLC. Okay, so I'm going to load him, and then I'll finish. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online to this PLC. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the data block itself. I'm going to run him, and we're going to keep an eye on him. So we can see that there's a false here, false, and we can do a live look as well at our software. So when this guy runs himself, I can see that this condition here, if we just want to open him up a bit, and we'll just bring him back over just a little and just make him a little bit bigger. There we go. So we can see our variables running in real time. We can see the effectively the input itself. So what we'll do is we'll go in here. We're going to activate our input bool. You'll see the output immediately goes to true. Okay, so we can see that indication right here that if the input bool is true, then the output is true. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go offline, and what we'll actually do then is we'll actually play around with adding some form of condition, right? And we'll do more than just trigger an actual a boolean itself. So I have a camera on a cabinet here, and this is the S7-1500 as per the previous videos. And the S7-1500, again, as a reminder, this digital output card is wired up to all of these different relays here, and then this contactor. So specifically, we can see actions then in real time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have when the input is actually activated, I am going to go down a road where I am going to actually activate the output itself. Okay, so what we can do here is we can see that in the tag table, what was produced previously, we have this guy called tag 1. Okay, so tag 1 is an output. This is output number 4. Okay, so what we will do then is I'm going to put down tag, and we can see it's Q. So we go tag 1, and I'm going to assign him a value of true, and he activates a relay. And then what we have down here is we're going to literally just do the same thing again, except what we're going to do is we're going to do false. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do a compile again, and then what we'll do is we'll do a download to the PLC, and he's going to overwrite him. Perfect. So what we'll do then is we will go online and we will just visualize what exactly is happening here. Okay, so here what we have is we can see tag 1 is true. We can see both of these guys are true if the bool is true itself. And let's go back and we'll take a look at him. So we can see he's true, and we can see in the camera that this guy has activated here. You'll see the green underneath. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll go back and we will turn off the bool, and we will see that the relay has deactivated. And then we will also go back to the actual code itself, and we'll see that it's no longer this condition that's true. It's actually gone into false because we just turned it off. Okay, so what we can do then also is we can put down a condition for AND. So in terms of the actual building up conditions, what we can actually do is AND, and then we can go on a condition here where we can actually look at our previous input. And the previous input that was created in the other programs, the actual input from the proximity sensor, that guy, his name is tag 2. Now, of course, I can give them different names if needed. So what I might call him is, we'll call him input sensor. And I'm going to call it relay. Okay, and we'll just call him relay. We'll call him relay 5. Okay, so that is essentially that. And if I go back to the actual program, you'll see that the name has changed automatically here. Relay 5 has come in. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look for input sensor. And we're going to see if he is true also. Right? And essentially it means that this will kick off if input sensor is true. Okay? And we could of course put the same logic back again if we want. So there's two conditions here, and we will go down here and just simply say false. Okay, so I will go and I will compile that. And just for anyone to see here, the input sensor, I'll just show it quickly on the camera. I'll just be a moment. So this is the input sensor, if it can just about be seen, and it turns on and off, basically with this red light. Okay, so I'll just come back. And that was actually very hard to see, I would say, because of where I was, unfortunately. So it is, yeah, I'd have to try and stretch it out a bit. Just a moment there. If that can be seen, this is the actual, the sensor itself, sorry. And then if I activate it just by putting some kind of metal effectively on top of there. So, I will compile. I'll compile this guy and just effectively I'll just download him. I'll download him to the PLC. And I will go online. And what I will see there is that the input sensor at the moment, he has a true value because he's on by default, you see. He's that type of NPN proximity sensor rather than a PNP. So what I will do there is I will see that this guy is false and true. So let us go and take a look at our PLC in real time. So I'm going to activate that sensor at the moment, and we'll see that the sensor itself, yeah, he's working. So there's no problem with him there. And I'm going to go to the actual the table itself. So I'm going to go and we'll go in here, take a quick look. He's false at the moment, so we'll activate him now, and we can see that the relay has come on. And that is because when we go back to our SCL here, we'll see that the input sensor is true. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn watch right here. As I go over to the sensor itself, you're going to see him flicker then to false itself. So here we go. Very good. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate the actual him to false. You'll see that the relay still stays on, but when I activate the relay and then when he goes to false, you'll see him then come off. And then he stays off. So that is an example where you have, I'll just go back and do a summary again of it. We have the structured text logic here, where effectively we have an if statement. First of all, the if statement was done where it only had one condition, and then it was altered to have two conditions, where something could only execute in real time once a second condition then came in, and essentially both of those conditions had to line up, otherwise they were both skipped. So what I will do now is I'm going to go offline and I'm going to just simply put in an else to keep the logic very, very simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go back here and I'm going to remove references to the input sensor, and I'm going to put effectively an else into the equation here. So sorry, I'm just looking at something else. So we essentially go down and we type in, say here, else. There we go. And we're going to have it so that the output itself, he goes to false. So very, very simple logic there, where we don't need to have multiple if conditions. And I will do a compile. And then what we'll do is we'll go down and we'll do the download. And then we will go online as we did previously, and we will see that we're doing the else here because the input is false at the moment. If we go back to here and I turn the input to true, we'll be able to go back to our structured text and we'll see that now we're executing this line here, line number 7, rather than line number 9. Okay, so that's a very kind of simple introduction to structured text called SCL in Siemens. And essentially what I'll do is I'm going to move into kind of more, I'm going to move into more complex kind of logic now. But I think for getting up and running and up, you know what I mean, up to speed, hopefully this has been something that has provided a good, simple initial example. Thank you very much.